going on, everyone? Welcome to another watch along here at Knicks Film School. Joined here with me, got DJ, we got Chris Persianen. I'm here, Jeremy Cohen. We are Chris has some fireworks behind him. Very exciting stuff. I don't know how that happened, but
How the hell?
that was wild. Yeah. Okay. Well, congratulations, Chris. Welcome, you guys. How are you both?
Okay.
We got a good one tonight. We've got the Knicks 4 wins in a row since the OG Anunoby trade. They're going to see.
Hey, Chris, you're on mute, my man.
Oh,
No longer.
no longer. We're good. All right, perfect. So I'll turn it over.
There you go.
DJ,
Now we hear you.
I'll ask you, what are your first thoughts in terms of this matchup tonight?
Yeah. Well, my first inclination was, it's obviously the Blazers are a bad team, but they have two guys in Simons and Grant that can give you 35 plus on a good night. And that always, as a Knicks fan, and we all have seen the games where, there's that little extra juice when an opponent comes in. You just worry a little bit about a letdown and one of these guys going off. So that's kind of like my initial thoughts on this, but we're still kind of learning the Knicks, the starting lineup, the bench unit. So just more focus on that to see where the center position goes and the backup spot, and then just where they go in the backup point guard. Is it McBride? Did they get Flynn some minutes? So just trying to continue to learn this new look Knick roster, which I think is still there's some they're not major questions, but significant notable questions that they still have to answer. So that's kind of where I am right now.
Absolutely. Chris,
how about you?
Seen
Yeah. What's up, Jeremy?
No, I, in terms of what DJ was saying, you've seen a lot of this Blazers team, a decent amount, actually. What are your thoughts? Anyone who the Knicks fans should be looking out for specifically on that Portland squad?
Duop Reith. Duop Reith is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Did you know that in the Blazers last game, they went to overtime against Brooklyn and he had 15, 13, and 3 blocks and 1 steal? Duop Reith is awesome. Totally out of nowhere. If you want where he's actually out of, it's Australia. But he's like this scouting gem that totally slipped my radar. Like, I did not fucking spend a second of draft class talking about this guy. And like, oh my God.
Ooh.
Oh, hey, Dante. He would have been a good evening, Mr. DDV. But yeah, Dirty Dancer, he is like 25. He was like,
he might be older than that. I think that's probably why he went under your radar.
He got stat sheeted off of my radar in terms of like, I didn't watch all the tape that was out there because I filtered him out because he was old as hell.
He's 27.
Yeah. So I'd never watched him. I don't know. But yeah, no, he's sick. That's my player to watch. Also, Anthony Simons is someone who, like, I know everyone thinks the Magic are like the old Knicks, the Knicks of like 21, where they're a top seed, but they're not actually that good. If they took like Markelle Fultz and picks and went and got Anthony Simons, I think they'd be like actually scary. Like, they could knock Cleveland out in the first round, or they could knock Atlanta out in the first round. And that's Orlando, who's like years ahead of their timeline already. Yeah, Ant Simons is like actually good. And the reason I think he's really good is because I think for what it's worth, he's a legitimate 3-level scorer. And so like for a guy like Jeremy Grant, who ostensibly, as you can see right now, is not a lead option, to have someone out there like that, it's a little different than the Detroit days where Grant was just averaging 30 on like just as many shots a game. Ogugwa, half court dunk.
That's what he does. It's an efficient shot, right, DJ?
Yeah, DJ. What the hell? Who the hell do you think you are?
It is. Yeah.
It's not worth more than a layup on the stat sheet.
It's one of those where after I hit send, I was like,
dimwit.
It's not. That was a good time. Canada got
Delaware. Here we go.
Nice. I can't really blame them for feeling a little. Love that. I apologize in advance. We have a storm that is like ripping through right now, so my internet connection is like not amazing. So if I'm a little sporadic with that, I apologize.
No worries.
Just trying to maintain here, but I just keep getting the poor connection thing here on playback. But we'll try to battle through it.
Of course. Yeah, I thought your tweet was very well intentioned and just taken in a direction that would not have necessarily gone in, but understandable.
That's crazy, Jess.
So I'm trying to figure out these defensive matchups. I feel like there's been, in terms of the Knicks, there've been some cross matches. So I'm just trying to get a read on like where their base defense is, because you could go a few different ways on this. With this
basically,
team.
and it starts with what Benji was saying, DJ, which is like, is OG on Simons or Grant?
Yeah,
that's kind of your first chess piece. And
Nice
one.
job, Julius.
Exactly.
Is that a Tumani?
I think it
Tumani
is.
Kamara, right?
It was.
Mhm.
Shout out the A10. I remember I saw Dayton live, obviously, you know, at the A10 tournament at Barclays last year. I was there as a fan, just for the men's team. And I remember watching them and seeing Kamara and seeing Dayron Holmes and being like, there's an NBA guy on this Dayton team, and it's not Dayron Holmes. Like, it's Tumani Kamara, and he's freaking really good. And it never really got any catch or buzz to it because he went to Dayton and isn't an offensive talent. So why would you care? Like, super fair, right? But he's like, Dirty Dancer. He's really good at defense, and he's one of those guys who like is gonna sneakily pop up 20 years after his career. You're gonna be like, oh, like Tumani Kamara was on that team. That's why they were so good at guarding wings. You know, like he's just gonna pop up as one of those guys that is good.
Where does the offense come from for him? Do you think there's a shooter in
Josh
there somewhere?
Okogie, Josh Okogie, Josh Hart.
Okay.
Yeah, just he just floats off the ball and needs to hit sometimes 3-pointers. Cutting, screening, and diving, like it's gonna all be that shit.
So the passing in the half court on that entire series and the rebounding was astounding.
That's iHeart to me, Jeremy. That's like what stands out most is having a center who, to me, what stands out the most, and that's why I think the power forward position is so like the crux of modern basketball. I think what stands out the most is when you're better, super better than average for your position at something.
Look at that. I mean, I completely agree.
Isaiah Hartenstein, again,
and there's the rebound, and go up with it.
We play a very like here, damn style of basketball.
Oh my god!
Hey,
yes,
love that.
And that's the main thing that I think gets the takeaway for me. It's not when you look at Mitchell Robinson, right? There's certainly the issues of him being in the dunker spot and not spacing the floor, spreading the floor in any capacity. That's not as much of a concern for me as the passing game. Having a connector at the 5 is just so crucial to a winning team. And now it doesn't have to be everyone. Not every team is going to have great passers at the 5, but having what's essentially just a finisher in that spot puts so much pressure on 1 through 4 that it's not something that I think can function over time. It's such an underrated quality, and pairing it with rim protection too. Not a lot of guys who can do it.
And it really pops to me like mostly when the Knicks, even when they're going well, they can have these possessions where like things bog down and like there's really nothing happening, and you'll see Hartenstein just flash middle, demand the ball, and he'll either like whether it's a floater or just move it to the other side, like he'll just do something with it that sort of like gives you another opportunity to get something out of a set that's probably going nowhere if he didn't sort of like get in there and try to take command. And he'll do that sometimes. He did that in the last possession where he just is like arms up, like demanding the ball. And those are the things that he wasn't really doing last year and early this year. And I think it's just like more confidence, better chemistry, and just knowing that he's being empowered a little more is sort of like unlocking his full skill set. And it's been awesome to see because he's just, as you mentioned, Jeremy, just so well-rounded what he can do.
Anthony Simons looks really good.
He does.
That's a guy who like
unreal shoot. He's such a great shooter.
If the Knicks were a small market team and I wasn't confident in their chances at like a big star down the line, I would be
Mhm.
like, yo, go get that guy. He's cost controlled and he'll bring you to contention at a lower cost than the superstars who won't re-sign with you. But the Knicks are a big market, so they don't have that issue. I just like sometimes that thought exercise arises.
Mhm.
And like, damn, him the thing is the defense, right? But like him playing off Brunson and Randall is ludicrous. Oh, look at
Yeah,
this.
the contract he signed is definitely going to be a steal in about a year, 2 years. Of course, then
Mhm.
by that point, I think he might be almost at the end of his contract, but it's a good value deal to have. And I think that was a good call, Chris, in terms of the Magic. Like if there were a team that were to come knocking and willing to give up picks that grow with that timeline, he makes a lot of sense for them.
Yeah, I tuned into the T-Wolf game. They're playing the Magic, and the Wolves are going under every screen. They're just Paolo has no spacing right now to do anything with, and he's been commendable of late, despite that. But just when you have a really good defense that can load up on him, and they're really even so Suggs has improved as a shooter, he's just not treated like a big time threat. So yeah, that would be an amazing fit there.
Chris, I know you were scouting the draft like you
I'm
usually do.
I'm looking at how Reed Shepard is now shooting 55% from 3 this season right now.
Well, I was going to say anything that Scoot Henderson has or hasn't done that has stuck out to you throughout this young season so far?
Yeah, I'm going to go with and I'm going to go with bringing pace to the offense. I feel like hello
Incredible movement. What team are we
for
watching? Sorry, just
Right?
this is not the New York Knicks. This is a modern offense.
oh man. But it is though.
It is. That's the amazing part. The open looks that they're getting are remarkable.
I think
And that was
I
actually a
think-
really quick. Sorry, just a real quick.
Go ahead.
That was a quick release, lower release point shot by OG just to get that off. So that shows some nice diversity and that's an unfortunate foul. Nice diversity in shooting for him when you're under pressure and you just have to get the look off.
He knows what to do
He
in
can
those
adjust it a little bit.
situations.
Yeah. Stuff.
Well, and what I was gonna say was with Randall is I hate when fans do like the results oriented analysis where it's like, oh, you can't play fast if Julius Randle's on the roster. It's like, well, no, I don't. I think a team where Julius Randle is the number one option is naturally not going to play fast. Like that doesn't mean you can't play fast with Randle on the roster. Like I hate when shit is results oriented and not like analyzed. I don't know. It's so lazy. That's my complaint of the day.
I'll go one step further. Being the fastest team in pace or the best team in pace does not necessarily equate to being best team on the floor. There are a lot of really slower paced teams that succeeded. I think the Heat were a very low paced team. And granted, was their run more unprecedented than not? Of course, but there's nothing wrong with being methodical. I think it's important to be good in transition, but I never felt like if you're bottom 5, bottom 10 in pace, your team is screwed. It's just a different style of basketball that you're employing.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I think fast equaling good is something that a lot of people have convinced themselves. That's it. Oh, Julia should have shot that.
Ah, he got a better look there. There we go.
Oh, OG, let's go.
All right. I really like that patience
It's
from
third
Randall.
three. Yeah.
I just think catching to
13.
shoot is like super important for floor spacing.
Mhm.
Like, not if you don't have to shoot, just catch to shoot. Like, when you catch the ball, put it up just like 2 inches so that people are like, oh, we got to close out. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I agree with you. I mean, yeah, he did generate a better look, but Randall's trigger needs to be just a little more on point and just get the looks up, because that has been if there's one thing that I'm looking at for him in the playoffs that might rear its head as like a problem is that he just has a lot of pump fakes, a lot of jab steps. He's not just catching these open looks and just letting it go. So I would agree that he needs to be a little more conscious of that and just let these shots go. I think if he's open, he should shoot it every time, obviously. And But he got his team made a great look, and OG's got 13 points. As the Knicks lead 21-15, 5:45 left here in the first.
Ooh,
Not much to
Killer
complain about on the
reset.
offensive end.
Mm-mm.
that was a killer
There you go,
reset.
Jalen.
Ooh, and
Oh.
one.
Oh, I thought he was doing his 3-point celebration. I was like, that's weird.
Yeah.
That's odd.
I
Odd
mean,
timing for the.
if it's 3 points, then it's essentially equal to it. But
I think one of like in the Hall of Fame of celebrations that look sick, but when you find out what they mean, they suck, is James Harden's dunk celebration. If anyone knows what I'm talking about, where anytime he dunks, especially when it's like a left-hand tomahawk, he'll run back on defense like holding in a nosebleed because he got up so high, the altitude. Like, dude, oh my god, get a job. Here's Shaden. I love Shaden, man. He's very fun. Oh, okay. Screw me, I guess. Go on, Jeremy.
no, I say keep doing that this game because that's a good result for the Knicks. I am with Dirty Dancer. Where I don't love.
Oh,
goes around, comes around. I don't love Josh Hart in the 2-guard spot. I'm a little worried about Tibbs relying on that in a crucial moment.
Oh, it sucks. And you can totally tell, like last season when the Knicks got Hart and Benji was like, what if Tibbs ends up over relying on him? And the staunchest of staunch Tibbs defenders were like, and then it happened. I totally see Brunson, Hart, OG, Randall, Mitch getting like if that's the team next season or for the rest of this year, Brunson, Hart, OG, Randall, Hart getting like way too much run, like an unhealthy amount of. Hey, Rich, what up?
Hey, Rich. Yeah, I just feel like if you can create a scenario or a world where if you have OG and Hart, that's fine, but don't have Randall on the floor as well. Have a point guard in Brunson and then Grimes or DDV at the 2. Just some elite floor spacer and also Anunoby, who's great from the corners. Ooh, it just feels like it's going to get a little too clunky, and I'm concerned. But that's future me's problem. Yeah, I thought that was a foul. Yeah.
Oh, got a foul. Yep.
Chris, you had a tweet today that first and foremost, I want to mention this. You wrote in the tweet about Randall being part of the meeting. Can you elaborate exactly what that means? Because I think some people who don't have that peek inside the curtain are like, why would Randall be a part of that meeting? So could you just highlight what the significance of that is?
I mean, from everything I was told, he was like in the room, like he was part of the meeting, which was like, hey, we're talking possible frameworks with this team about potentially moving you. How do you feel about that? Here, meet them. Here's your new coach and GM. Do you like them? Like that kind of thing. That's the Knicks doing right by a star. Like, oh, Deuce, hello.
Another catch and shoot 3. I think he's at 50% on the year. Give it almost.
God bless.
On catch and shoot 3s.
Yeah. Well, remember he took 9.8 threes a game in Westchester over the course of that first season and made like 48% of them.
Mm-hmm.
And then he came to the NBA and missed a couple open looks, and everyone was like, and this kid we drafted can't even shoot, and he sucks. And I don't know, like the sample size was way bigger in Westchester and really good.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, the thing was, go on.
God, yeah, finish your thought. No, finish your thought.
With Randall, it's like it was just the Knicks doing right by someone that they had long treated as a star player, helped, had him help pick the next head coach for them. And even if they were going to hire Thibodeau, no matter, oh my God. Okay. Well,
that was brutal.
He tried.
At least he's laughing about it. Who is that, Chris?
Yeah.
I don't need to say it. He's awesome. Look at him. Bam.
Ooh.
Oh, that's oh wait,
Love
that's
that.
My apologies. Oh man.
That's
I heard
41.
Australia. I heard Gus Johnson say Australia.
That's Baji.
And I thought that
Yeah,
My
yeah.
apologies.
No, that's Baji. The Blazers are clearly doing really well.
Yes.
He's Baji's on a two-way also.
Mhm.
But I think the fact that they have roster or like given court time to like four guys that casual fans don't recognize is very indicative of where they're at. Yeah. Baji was born like 5 months after me, for what it's worth. He's like 7'1". So yeah.
So you're saying there's no hope for you to be 7-1 as well?
No, I'm fucked. With Randall, to me, it was just like the Knicks checking shit out. See him. Oh, okay, got him back. Um, yeah, I think it's normal for players to be part of those meetings. I think people assumed that I meant that the meeting was about Randall, but that Randall wasn't there. Like, how could he be there if they're talking about trading him? Like, they weren't negotiating the deal in front of him. Like, they were just talking about the chance that Randall went to Sacramento and how he would feel about it. And I don't know, like, stars don't just wake up and get a text that's like, you're done. I mean, that stuff happens to like young players and whatever, but yeah.
So the way I took, so I obviously you're 100% correct regarding like traditionally star players are going to be involved in at least the thought process, but that was the first time I'd seen it reported where a star player was like meeting with the opposing team to sort of like get a feel for that. And
That happens all the time.
Does it? Well, that was my question. Like, how often does that part happen where you're getting
Alec Burks had a private meeting with the Sacramento Kings ahead of the 2022 NBA draft because it was figured if the Knicks got the number 4 pick to draft Ivy, they'd be sending like Burks and Reddish over. I think it was like their first offer was like bullshit. It was like Fournier and Reddish, or like Fournier and someone else. And the Kings were like, okay, what about Burks and someone else and more picks? And what, like, it got down to the point where the teams were still pretty far from reaching a deal, but it was pretty clear to both teams that Burks was going to be in whatever final amalgamation of the deal. So like Burks got like I don't know, like Uber blacked over, like he got like a ride to a meeting with the Kings brass where they talked about if he were to get traded to Sacramento, what their plan for him would be. And Burks isn't a star. So this stuff really does happen all the time. I think, and I'm not trying to sound like an ass, but like I feel like people not being familiar with that makes something like Randall being in that meeting like almost comically unbelievable. But that's really just like the reality of what goes on. I don't know. I do understand it's funny to think about a guy being in a meeting where a trade that involves him is being discussed, but that's not really how it works. Like they'll iron out what players are going to, like, if Randall was going to be going to Sacramento, which was something that they would explore if he would have been fine with it, then yada, yada, yada. And the Knicks weren't even really interested in the Kings offer anyway.
I think that's the main thing, because Jessica asked Randall decided he wanted to stay in New York. It wasn't Randall's decision. It was that the offer that the Knicks had, it wasn't for, to your point, Fox or Halliburton. So at that point, it's like, are you just moving Randall to move him? And I think we can all agree, if the Knicks had moved Randall for something that didn't bring back an all NBA caliber player, it would have been, or like a bevy of picks that would have made it worth it, which is not what Sacramento wanted. It wouldn't have been a good deal.
It's funny, at the time, I think you would have gotten like a lot of fans that would have signed off on that. Oh, gee. 2-pointer? No, I got a 3. All right.
There you go.
Oh, and look who checked into the game.
Apparently, they did like a random cut to Brogdon sitting on the bench, and everyone freaked out on MSG. This is reaching reality TV levels. But I think
even if there is a trade between these two teams featuring Brogdon, my guess is the Knicks don't make a move until the deadline or a day or so before, because
the 15th, you mean?
The deadline's the 8th. But
the trade deadline, you're saying?
Trade deadline, yes. But my hunch is that they want to give that young man, Deuce McBride, more reps, more time, because they just gave him a contract. They want to see in the next month what he can do. Even if he does well, I still see them getting a point guard for reasons mentioned in the cap or no cap. But why take a month out of why beat the market to get Brogdon and also reduce time with McBride when you could just play it out for another month?
Oh. Yeah, there are also like other teams after Brogdon. I think the Knicks are probably also trying to show that they're not like desperate to make a deal.
They switched with Achua a couple of times here.
Oh, Randall, you got to be careful, man. He
Yeah.
almost got ripped. Oh, okay.
I'm good.
Nice job, Deuce. 8-0 run for the Knicks per the MSG graphic.
Great defense, Deuce.
Shout out the MSG graphics. Always done well.
Ooh, that was close.
Josh Hart spacing to the 20-foot line. Nice job.
Oh, again.
Of Baji. Oh, that was sick.
So we are at 33-17 Knicks late here in the first. Jeremy, how are you feeling about where they are right now? Offensively looking really good. Defensively holding the Blazers to 17 points.
Yeah, I think they're looking pretty good on offense.
Yeah.
Defensively, this is a bad team. The Blazers specifically are a bad team. But the messaging from Julius was don't play with your food, and that's exactly what they're preventing now. And I think that we're only 4 games into the new year, and 4 and a quarter almost. We could talk about the defensive rating and how great that looks, but to me, it's incredibly promising, but still need more of a sample size. Just stacking quarters like this gets you to a game and then gets to a handful of games. And before you know it, you've got a really nice sample size. So they're doing exactly what they need to do. Shoot it. Nice, Deuce. On offense. And the defensive side is taking care of itself. I mean, when you're winning by double the score and you have almost 40 points, you're having a good start to the night.
Yes, sir. I feel like Randall's passing the ball really well. His offense is a little uneven. Looks a little ragged in terms of his individual scoring, but I like his playmaking.
Oh, that's a great pass.
Has been phenomenal right now. Yeah, it was a good pass.
Could see that pass for more nights in Madison Square Garden potentially.
Find to the first quarter. Knicks 38, Blazers 22. Knicks Film School here, playback, and also just streaming, just talking about the game. If you want to, I don't know, hang out, chat, talk some hoops, you can also join our Patreon. You can come and hang out in the playback and like chat, and we'll read your chats and all that stuff too. So lots of fun. I really love that we do different crews the same way you might get like different broadcasting trios. I think it makes it easy to not get bored of any single one of us. And I think it makes it worth it to support these little ventures. Another venture worth supporting, KFS Discord. You can support that in the same way you support this by being a patron. But we've got lots of chill Knick fans that talk in the Discord, like Jess and Dirty Dancer, who gives really good draft insight in there. And I don't know, it's a good time all around. So Knicks Film School, it's more than a Twitter page. It's a family, and we love you to be part of it, even if that is just watching for free here on Twitter or YouTube, wherever you are. We appreciate it.
Yeah, people forget the F in KFS stands for family. So
I heard about that.
Yeah, but the cool thing as well is we get all these different combinations, and fortunate enough where the 3 of us did a game last month. So I'm glad that all of our schedules lined up where we could do this again. It was a lot of fun then. It's a lot of fun now. We got Joey with the mustache on the DJ. If you're watching on YouTube, I'm sorry, you're missing a great performance. But it's a lot of fun here.
They always say that the way to market yourself is with something that's not a talent and that millions of people can do.
It's true. Yeah.
Growing a mustache. Good one, Joey.
So a look around the league, interestingly enough, the Pistons were up by quite a lot, and now they're down by 1. So it turns out the Ewing theory in Detroit might not be exactly apt. The Wolves are beating the Magic by 30 in Orlando. And of course, the Knicks are up by
Wow.
16.
Damn.
30 at the half. Jeez. Magic are shooting 27% from the field against a really good defense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Big first quarter for OG Anunoby, 16
Yeah.
points, 6 of 7, 4 threes.
Career
Pretty
high
dumb.
is 7, which he set
Okay.
earlier this season is 7 threes in a game. So maybe he'll chase that. That's okay. That's something that could happen. Grimes is wide open.
Ooh.
That works too.
Lefty underhand pass by Josh Hart. Nicely done. This will be a fun matchup. McBride and Simons.
Mm-hmm. And then Grimes on Sharp as well.
Yep.
Ooh.
Okay. That was, just
forced it.
not smart basketball.
And just dumb on both sides, Josh. Man, no wonder he's a Commanders fan. He's just bad on both sides of the ball.
Yeah, he's Hart is really bad passing like to his left side. Like, he just doesn't see the floor that well at all, especially on these like fast breaks when things are moving pretty quickly. So, but you take the good with the bad with him. You know, he's such a dynamite transition player at times, but he can make some passes. And DiVincenzo's like this a little bit too, where you live with some of the awkward turnovers with their the chances they take.
Well, those are some great minutes from Deuce. Really
Yes,
important to keep the Knicks afloat while Brunson was on the bench. Oh, I mean, how did he not get called for that?
Tibbs.
I think Brunson's also hurt.
Hitting the head, right?
Good rebound, yeah.
Tibbs might need to put some more money on the line.
Got lucky.
I thought Deuce double dribbled earlier too. I think the refs just don't care.
Yeah. I feel like Precious has yet to have a mid game. It's either been like, oh, Precious looks really good, or he's just unplayable. And I still don't fully buy that he's here a month from now. We'll obviously see.
That's a hilarious shot attempt.
Incredible.
That's a hilarious shot. That's a bad shot. And it was an and one. That's hilarious. That's awesome talent.
He's so good going to his right and getting that shot off. He probably shot it because he felt the contact, but it just to make that, and he makes them like more than you think he will. Fading out of bounds. It's big time. Yeah, with Precious, it's like, is Tibbs the coach to really utilize his switchability on defense and his skill set on offense, though unrefined? So it doesn't feel like a good match, put it that way.
I agree. He didn't feel like their prototypical center to begin with. I don't know. It just felt like money, and I still expect them to have a backup center who they trust a little more than him. Especially because
Oh, wow.
He takes threes, which is fine, but that's just not traditionally how the Knicks operate as an offense anyway. And I wonder if they take the best part of him, the offensive rebounding, and find someone who can replicate that, but more of a rim runner, so to speak. That's why I'm still so curious about Drummond. Even if he's not a great option, he's a better option based on how the Knicks run. But not a lot of...
Josh had Grimes so wide open behind him, but on the left side, DJ. So
yeah. It's a little blind spot for him.
Dirty answer. I think that the player in the red jacket is one of the two-way guys. I could be wrong, but I think that's obviously DeAndre Ayton, but the on the Knicks side, I think it could be Charlie Brown Jr. That's my best guess, but
I like him.
what do you like about him?
Charlie Brown Jr. I think
Mhm.
he's one of those guys who like gets one of those like can just play or like is a player designations where it's like, oh, okay, this is going. Josh, you have
Oh,
to
shot
shoot
clock
the ball.
violation.
Okay, almost made that. That would have been awesome.
So has Julius sat
Not yet.
playing? Yeah, I feel like he's taken some possessions off, and I think that's what Hart's
Mhm.
upset about is that Julius just didn't move on that play, and I think Julius is probably exhausted because he's played the entire game. So that was a little off.
Hey,
Ooh.
that's good defense at the rim though.
Yeah.
And there's an easy 2.
Chad is pointing out that Julius Randle just calmed a teammate down. Bizarro world.
The turntables.
Well, Julius, we know you're exhausted. Here's an isolation post possession.
Yeah.
Hey now.
Ooh.
QG 4-3. Step back. That's tough. Simons is gonna pull up. Yeah. Ooh. Love it.
A bullet.
Yeah. If you notice
Too
with
easy.
Randall, like he passes really fast.
He does.
And really hard. And there was this pass he had at this, I forget what game it was. I think it was Minnesota, where like the ball hit his teammate's hands so hard and went flying out of bounds. And like even after, look at Dante and Ryan both get up as soon as Jalen caught it in the corner. That's so funny. Literally the entire bench is on their ass. The 2 Nova guys sitting right next to each other. The second Jalen gets a 3 in the corner that they think he's going to shoot, stands up.
It warms your heart. Yeah, I love that. Yeah, you're right about the Julius fastballs. I clipped a bunch of them early in the season because I think he throws his peak velocity has to be like 99th percentile. And I noticed it last year a little bit too. He throws rockets. You have to be ready for it. I'm just worried about a guy catching it like off a finger and dislocating it.
That's fair. Yeah. You don't want to throw it too hard.
Yeah. Dirty Dancer wants to see some Malachi minutes. Would be, some legitimate minutes. Would be nice just to get a read on him.
I feel like the read is already there. Like
it might be. Yeah.
If you look at his EPM, they're the exact opposite of what outside the shooting is fine, but it's like the 3-point shooting in terms of frequency is there. But he's not their type of point guard. And I think that they are going to use him outgoing in a trade. I think whatever point guard they get, assuming they do get one, they'll send him out in that deal as well. It just doesn't. If that's the biggest concern of the Knicks, and I believe that it will be, then bringing someone in and having Malachi play, it doesn't really do them much good. Because I think to some team he might be looked at as an extremely buy low asset, and it's fine. But if he gets hurt, then it goes completely out the window. Then he's purely just salary going back. So preserving his health, trusting the guy you just invested $13 million over 3 years to, like that to me is a much more worthwhile investment than seeing whatever Malachi Flynn has that he hasn't had over the last 3 years.
Yeah, that's why you're great. That's why you're great at this. That's really good. I think it's a really good encapsulation of where, because you do have enough film on him to really, you have an idea. But Chris,
I feel like Jeremy's underselling a little bit.
I probably am.
Oh, look, it's Herman. That's my guy, security guard. He's
but
so
to
nice.
Be clear, I'm not
Jeremy's underselling. You're not underselling him as a player. You're underselling the likelihood not only that there is more for him to grow to, but that like a change of scenery could help him get there. Like this is a guy whose dad was like on Facebook, like begging for the Raptors to trade his son so that he might get an opportunity elsewhere. And like, for what it's worth, there's the instant reaction of, oh, well, he wasn't getting an opportunity on the Raptors because he sucks. And it's like, okay, but he, like, I don't know. I liked him pre-draft, right? And so, like, for me personally, I'm not going to abandon, like, oh my God, if I abandoned evaluations of players because Tom Thibodeau didn't like them, I would look so stupid. Like,
Of course.
so that's the thing is, like, they had very specific and weird roster constructions in Toronto the last couple years. And I'm not necessarily confident that writing off a young player because of that film is what you want to do. I also just don't think the Knicks are in a position to okay. I don't think the Knicks are in a position to be like hinging their season on those kind of bets. So I am with you in that sense. I just do think, like, maybe I'm interpreting it wrong, but it feels like you're coming down a little hard on.
It's more the fit here over the next month that I don't think is really.
I
don't think it's worth. I don't think the risk is worth the reward. I certainly hope that he figures out something. I think there's a quality rotation piece, ninth guy, 10th guy somewhere in there that can be. I totally hear you what you're saying in terms of context is so key.
That Toronto team was just so like weird, dude.
They were.
Hey,
it's nice, Grimes. But it's just here. I would rather see Deuce, and I feel like the front office and the coaching staff is more invested in someone who they know will be here for the rest of the season. And look, maybe they feel Flynn will be here for the rest of the season, but I just feel like something has to give, and he's better suited being elsewhere because he just doesn't play the same type of game that the Knicks have liked in their other point guards.
Yeah, no, I totally get. I just think being like, oh, the film has shown he's not gonna be good enough. Like, if he's not, no matter how good he is, if it's not the style of play you want, then that's fine.
No, that's fair. And if I was too harsh, I appreciate you calling me out on it. It's just that
I think it's not like I'm not like police. Like, it's just
we're friends.
This discourse for the sake of discourse.
No, it's more if he played poorly, I don't think it lowers his value or anything because it's not like it's very high to begin with, but it can mess with you to like play in multiple locations. Do you feel like you're not on the same page as the team? You're not able to play the same type of basketball. And so the same context that you're talking about with the Raptors could be potentially applicable here. And then the other team, again, not saying that has a huge value, but like from the fan perspective, where it's like, well, it didn't work in Toronto and he had a cup of coffee in New York and it didn't work there versus, he's just not in the rotation because the Knicks prioritize other players ahead of him.
Right.
And he'll get his shot somewhere else, potentially with a Portland team like this that is more than keen on losing games to maximize their odds.
Well, that's what Cam Reddish did. That worked out great. Now he's getting shouted out by LeBron for being ass. With 6 minutes left until halftime, the Knicks lead in what is a very easy score. I guess it would be a cheap score for typists to put on signs back in the day because they would only needed to have ordered 2 different signs, a 3 and a 5. It's 55-33. And the Knicks are winning by a lot. That's good. Jalen Brunson's at the free throw line, so that gives me a break in the action to say thanks for hanging out with us and being around and being part of the discussion or just watching the discussion, listening, whatever it is. Thank you. Oh,
I've never seen a free throw wedgie. Wow.
That's just it's just the touch is so soft that
incredible.
Just the talent. That guy's name tag behind Julius Randle says name tag. Swear to God. Rewind it. Swear to God. The name on the name tag was name tag. That's
he must have gotten hired today and they just didn't have time to print out the name.
I really want them to show that again. I really want the name tag said name tag. Yes, this is what we talk about in blowouts. Hey, listen. As someone who called a lot of Fordham women's basketball last year, I'm well versed in blowouts, just not this side of them.
Dive.
Oh.
That's a charge.
Yes, it is.
Jalen is so funny. Like, I know everyone else hates him. Like, I know players on other teams hate him for that shit. Like, it's the it's the kind of thing where like your friend, like you're playing 2K against a friend and like they score and it's fine, but they make a 3 with like that player you hate, and like it's just like you want to throw your controller at the guy. My roommate has this thing with Josh Okogie. I don't know why he just torches me every time with Josh Okogie. It's like when he hits a shot, it hurts different. Getting Jalen Brunson, the tiniest dude on the court, to draw contact on you must be the most annoying thing. You're just thinking to yourself, like, they only called it because he's small, like, yada, yada. I don't know. He definitely just gets in your head.
Yep. I think that move as well personifies exactly why people would hate Jalen Brunson if he were not on the
guarding
team.
him. Oh, my God. Look at Scoot talking about it right now. He's like, I swear to God, I was just guarding him. And look, he did it. Yep. He was like, bro, he threw himself. That's what Jalen does, though. That's the thing about being small. Like, being so small made him a perfect fit for the Barrett, Randall, Robinson, Nick front court. And it's because he's always been forced to find space where there is none. And there definitely wasn't any with those three. So, yeah. Yeah, Dirty Dancer. I think OG Anunoby low-key has that look going for him too, with like the leg band that he does. He's got like that 80s Knicks look to him. That's kind of cool. But look at OG now with the full calf sleeve. More riveting blowout analysis.
Well, this is definitely going to help the plus minus for OG Anunoby. I'll tell you that.
That I want to know who asked that. Just because I'm curious. I just want to know. Hey Tom, do you your team's been playing well? Do you think that's going to continue, or do you think it'll like even out? Even out. Oh. Robbed. That's like who asked Daniel Jones if the Giants should draft a quarterback? That was so stupid.
What did he say to that?
He like laughed and he was like, so like the reporter did this. Okay, you'll take the contact. DJ, the reporter did this thing where like they realized mid-question the question was so stupid. And so they like fed him the answer in hopes that because they said it, he would say something else.
Gotcha.
And none of it went how they wanted. So it was like, hey, Daniel, do you think the Giants should draft a quarterback early? Or do you think you're the man for the job and that you've got it covered? He was just like, he chuckled and he's like, I have faith in myself. Like, I don't think they need to draft a quarterback. Next question.
Yeah, it's not quite Eli Manning saying he's a superstar.
Yes, that was Charlie. That's Charlie Brown Jr. in the red jacket, Jeremy.
Mm-hmm. Let's go. Chris, question for you. We've got a super chat question actually from Jacob Slavitt. Jacob says,
Jacob,
any
what's up?
NBA scoops, Chris? I'm in the mood to #aggregate.
Did you see that account, like NBA Trade Report or whatever it is? They always tweet like #sources and then some bullshit. Yes. Just tweeted out like an amalgamation of my couple of like Brogdon and whatever tweets. And they were like, sources say the Knicks play Malcolm Brogdon tonight and are interested in him in a trade. And like they got like 8 replies being like, are your sources at Chris Persian? I thought that was funny. Shout out to all of y'all that did that. But yeah, Jacob, I would say I think Jeremy, I think you'll agree this is like a fine way of saying this. I would say like the Knicks, the reason I did the whole Brogdon thread at first before I had even heard they were interested was like, well, okay, maybe that's a lie. Maybe I knew they were interested. But that whole first Brogdon thread was kind of like, hey, they're talking to Clutch Sports. Why? They need a guy of this salary. Who fits both? Yada, yada. And it's like Jordan Clarkson. No, I don't see him paying up. I don't see them paying up because his salary doesn't work. And I talked about the Tibbs timeout. Oh, you just knew it. You just knew it.
Wasn't a 3 though.
You just know. When you see Brunson inching towards the sideline, you just know. Wow, that was pretty. I would say out of everyone I mentioned in that thread, Jacob, I would say Brogdon's like maybe the only one left that I can even see them actually going after. I guess that's something that I haven't revealed so much. But like, I don't know. Part of why I said they wouldn't probably get DeJounte in that thread was because I had also already heard by then that it was unlikely. So whatever. But yeah, just in the hunt for in the market for a bet. That's Raymond Felton. Wow. They are in the hunt for a backup guard, someone who's willing to come off the bench, someone who would want to come off the bench. And I don't even know if that is Brogdon. I think he would because the Villanova thing. Yeah, but that's not
man of the year last year.
But I from what I've heard, him coming off the bench in Boston wasn't something he liked. So,
sure.
Obviously it's not his choice. Bless you. But I think you're welcome. But I think that it's obviously it's not his choice. But I also think that could be a factor too. I don't know. I think with someone like Brogdon, you care a little less. Yeah.
Another thought, for whatever it's worth. What if he were also part of a larger deal that happened not at the deadline, but this summer, and then potentially went to a team where he might actually be able to start?
Yeah. He'd have to get sold on that ahead of the deal. But I think next to what is it? Well, they have Melton. Melton's better fit next to Maxey, but whatever.
It's interesting that you would identify that as Philadelphia.
Right.
For whatever truth, we're not operating on anything that's like, oh my god, Philly. It's just more like, yeah, he's going to be one of a handful of guys that the Knicks look at for sure. But yeah, I also think that being on would you rather be a backup on a losing team or a backup on a winning team? And then there's the option of, would you rather be a starter on a losing team, which he's also not even doing. He did a little bit of, but isn't starting anymore. And then I don't see a winning team that he would start on unless it were maybe Orlando. But I don't know Orlando's team well enough where I don't is he supplanting someone on the starting five? Like, is he? Yeah, they've got some injuries though, I think, right?
Yeah, I mean, Franz is hurt.
Yep.
Fultz, right? He's not.
Fultz is playing tonight.
He's playing tonight. Okay, yeah. So I guess you can go like a 2 lead guard backcourt, potentially. But you're right. There's not a lot of options for him if starting on a winning team is the priority.
Yeah. I want to say also that Gary Harris has started games this year. Oh, no, he hasn't. My apologies. He's come off the bench for almost every game except for 6. Also, not a lot of options for him to play on ball. I don't know. I just feel like if you're Orlando, Banchero is going to probably be your primary option. You're going to want to get run through secondary creation from Franz. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure there's a role for him in Orlando. Don't get me wrong, but I wonder if he'll have the keys quite in the same way. I don't know.
Doesn't sound like it. I mean, they just run so much through Paolo right now, by necessity, but also because he's awesome, and I think he's getting he's grown so much over these year and a half that I feel like they're just going to continue that sort of aspect, and then Franz is going to kind of command his usage, and there's probably not a ton of options for him in Orlando as a spacer. I think it's a really good fit for him, and I feel like that could work. But on the on-ball stuff, I agree with you. I don't think it's a natural increase for him.
I think what Chris said is an intriguing point about Simons, which is kind of have to remember this front office in Portland did not draft him. Um, they drafted Scoot. They obviously see a future with Scoot. I would imagine they can coexist, but what if there were a world in which they opted not to do that, where they wanted to get something else out of it and turn him into future draft equity instead? That's where Simon's being dealt, and going to a place like Orlando would make a ton of sense.
Yep. And speaking of this game, the Knicks are in a drought and a half right now. I feel like it's been what? They've been stuck on have they scored a field goal of late? I think
not in the last
it's
5
been a minute.
minutes. Yeah, 5 minutes.
Okay.
I think they just said. But the interesting too is this feels like it's almost habitual now, doesn't it? Because in Philly they went without a field goal for a while.
Yep.
I don't know, for a team that has a lot of scorers and open shooters, it feels like I'm trying to figure out if this is just a random occurrence happening a few different times, or if there's a clear, distinct trend and what we can take away from it.
Yeah, well, for tonight, it just feels like Julius is just completely out of sorts. I know he's gotten a few rough calls at the rim where he seemed to have gotten fouled or thought he was fouled and didn't get the call. He's going on the line here for 2, but I thought his passing early on was good in the game, but I just feel like that's sort of deteriorated a little bit and just doesn't seem like he's got it. Like I feel like his motor's been up and down. There's been times he just looked exhausted. Played the first quarter and I think about 4 minutes into the second quarter before he got a rest. Just doesn't feel like he's got his A game on offense right now, and it's showing a little bit in the second quarter. Very stagnant. And I want to check their turnover mark. Where are they at turnovers? I feel like that's only 5. I feel that the 2 hard turnovers are maybe making me think there is more than that, but just 5.
Spoelstra, contract extension. He's now one of the league's top paid coaches, which is shamsies for those motherfuckers did not pay him as much as what Monty Williams got to suck. The Knicks are up 63-41 with 25, now a shot clock remaining in the half. 63-41, your score. Knicks over the Blazers. This is a Portland team that is in the beginning stages of a rebuild, is doing a nice job identifying talent, diamonds in the rough. That's not shocking. Mike Schmitz works for their front office. This is a guy who spent a lot of time on TV for being really good at draft stuff. Now he runs them. So shocker that they found undrafted and second round gems, but not enough for the New York Knicks, who have done everything to show they're a win now team except mortgage their future, which is their final step. 63-41 is your halftime score. As a result, it's Pride Night at Madison Square Garden. So a theme as well. I love nights at Madison Square Garden. I don't know. Sometimes they do like special food and stuff too. Like I love it. I remember like 5 years ago, back when Halal Guys was like not yet a dominant chain, there was like a Mediterranean night at the Garden and they had Halal Guys like stands all over it. It was sick. Facts, Jess. Well, with that said, the Knicks are up 22. I hope you have enjoyed. We are going to take a break here for halftime. Before we do, maybe I'll limit you guys to 2 sentences, takeaways from the first half. DJ, you first.
Fun OG game. The Knicks need a better second half from their stars. So up 22 with Randall and Brunson, I thought played pretty below standard. So got to be pretty pleased with that aspect, but they should be better in the second half.
Said well. Jeremy.
Knicks need to be careful of falling into the third quarter trap that they've had, and the fact that they just went 6 or so minutes without scoring a field goal is a little bit concerning. So here's hoping that things ease up in the third quarter of tonight's game. I think it was a run-on sentence, but we could break it up into 2.
I think tonight's a night of accoutrements and Just perfect little compliments. The Knicks and Deuce McBride, the Blazers and Duop Reith, Joey and the mustache. I just lots of perfect pairings tonight, and we'll watch those continue and continue to. I guess the story will write itself in the second half. Do the Knicks? Oh, look at that! Look at that! Wow. We have. I think they spelled that. All right. Anyway, that's a decent sign. I like that. I like the guard and camera having some fun. We're gonna take a break. It's halftime. Go do something fun like pet your dog or fill up a drink or even read a chapter of a book. But make sure you're back here in about 15 minutes.
So the Knicks still do not have a field goal in the last 8 or so minutes now.
Hey.
Hello. All right. So we've got 2 super chat comments that came in at the end of the half that we want
Let's
to bring
do
to
it.
So the first is from Parrish Duggar. We always get in trouble when trying to get Randall his numbers. Tibbs continues to fail Randall by allowing the team to get away from selfless play. Let's start with DJ.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
So this is basically the idea is that they cater too much to Julius and his ability to generate numbers. I don't necessarily think that this is the wrong sort of like tack to take, because I feel like the team needs his ability to make shots and to play make for others. So I feel like personally, especially the way Julius is playing this year, it's been a value to the team for them to sort of like use him and JB as like their centerpieces on offense. I think this team would struggle in other areas on offense if they didn't do that. So I don't necessarily view that as a negative personally. I feel like at times last year, maybe it did, especially like, where he didn't like show up on the defensive end and Tibbs didn't hold him accountable and all the things we've gone over at nauseum. But I feel like right now, I think the team needs his creation, and he's going to be a high usage guy, and I feel like the team needs it.
Very fair. Chris, what are your thoughts?
Someone's got to take the shots, right? And Randall makes them. I think there's like this, and I'm not trying to come at Parrish Duggar or anything like that. And first of all, thank you for the super chat. But I think there's this thing where like fans and analysts alike both kind of see the league a bit how it used to be, where like everyone was a scoring option. Oh my God, Scoot, that's hilarious.
Oh,
Pat.
okay?
That's on the floor against Scoot before the shot, methinks. But look at this pass. This is hilarious.
And of course, he's saying that he was going up to shoot the ball.
Surely.
No, I don't think that's the case.
But yeah, no, that's on the floor. I was right first time. I think the league used to be in a spot where everyone was a scoring option. And now it's like, nah, like you got guys like DDV and Hart who are out there to complement. And so when that's the case, your scorers are going to get a lot of usage. Randall used to get just as much or a little less back when RJ was here.
Swing that. Oh,
And
sorry.
No, of course. You're fine. No, nice move by OG to save the play. Saved that play.
Yep. Nice.
Okay, fair. Well, thank you, Parrish Duggar. And then the next one we have is Mythic Monty. Can't play Hack and iHeart like you can with Mitch. It's true.
That's just true.
Yeah, I mean,
that's a ridiculous shot attempt from DiVincenzo.
Crazy.
It's so quick, right, Chris?
Guy right in his face, and he just shot it and did not care. OG spin move for the left-hand finish was awesome, but this was ludicrous. Oh my God. Duop wreath all in his grill. He did not care. He said, we're putting kangaroo on the menu today. Cook the Aussie. Oh my God.
What a day.
Ludicrous shot.
That was the first field goal that the Knicks made outside of the restricted area in like 10 minutes. So nice that they're back hitting perimeter shots again. But yes, just to circle back to the question, I mean, Mitch he was shooting what, less than 50% from the charity stripe this year. So
yeah,
even if it's 67 or so percent, I think Hartenstein's in that ballpark. It's still a lot easier to handle, and just the looks that are being generated as a result of his passing, which again I know doesn't correlate with the hack.
Oh, they put a fourth ball in. Sorry, I'm dialed
No,
right now. It's the second one. Middle. 2. It's 2. Wait, I didn't see which one they pointed to before
Grinding for
it
Good
started.
says it's 3.
I would believe it. Oh!
Good job, Chris.
Let's go, John D. 1000 Delta. Love it. Those are the most fun in arena games to me. I hate trivia because sometimes the trivia is really easy and sometimes it's really hard. At Fordham, they were asking like a 7-year-old when Title IX was signed because it was like Women in Sports Day. And I was like, you gotta be shitting me. Like that, they don't know who that kid might know what the NBA is. Like, you know what I mean? Like they might know what the WNBA is. They might know what the NBA is. They do not know what Title IX is. They do not know which year in the 1900s it was enacted. They don't know.
Do they know it's the 1900s?
They don't know. I was just about to say they don't know. They couldn't tell you a decade, not a century, not a.
Well, the suffragette movement is when Title IX was, of course.
1972.
Yeah.
So this has been a really weird Randall game. I just looked at it. He's 2 of 7 at the rim. It's second out of the last 3 where the shooting has just been, or the efficiency has been really bad. Not worried about it, but I'm just like noting it a little bit. You wonder about like fatigue, or is it just randomness? I don't think the Blazers are doing anything necessarily, because I thought the Sixer game, it was like the Embiid factor of him just being in the paint the entire time affected him. Tonight, it just feels like more just missing shots. So maybe that's what it is, but he just has been really, it's been a struggle for him on the offensive end. Despite making a few good passes. Almost had that. Look at Ihart. He rebounds out of his position, right? That's a nice finish. Good pass.
Brunson is also at a pretty inefficient game himself. I think he's 2 of 9. Yep, 2 of 9, 1 of 6 from 3. But to the point of, who was it? Yeah, Dirty Dancer. If Randall, and in this case also Brunson, are going to regress, let it be in the games where the Knicks are up by quite a lot.
Very true. And then just on Brunson, I did look at his isolation numbers. They're way down this year. He's under 40%. And it feels like, I don't know if you guys are noticing the same trend of like teams more inclined to put size on him. And I think that's helped him maybe in like some of the screen actions where they get hung up on screens and he's got to look at that pull up or relocating on spot ups. But in isolation, I feel like he's not generating as clean a look on overall compared to last year. And the numbers are kind of bearing that out. So it's a little bit of a concern, despite the fact that he's been phenomenal this year. That's the one area where he just hasn't been as good. And there's a little horns action, and he has Simons on him, and he just got right to a spot, clean look. Blazers in a 2-3 zone, so he can really cook in that area. It's the one-on-one trying to dance with a wing or a big that I just don't feel like he's getting great numbers out of. Oh! I don't think he blocked that, right? That was just a miss.
A missed dunk.
Yeah.
Turn a play like that into a score. Yeah, that's game. That's game. When you turn a play like that into a score, that's just game. Like they're not. Portland just checked out just now. Promise. Okay. Well, all right.
News of Portland's death might be greatly exaggerated.
Yeah, down.
No, I mean they're still down 28. Yeah.
40 minutes of garbage time. Yeah, pretty much.
So, and who are your league pass favorites? Do you guys got some teams besides the Knicks that if they're on, you're trying to catch them?
Yes.
Give me a couple.
I'm gonna go with. This is tough. I want to say like teams like the Spurs aren't on there. Like I'm already like done.
You've seen enough, Wemby.
I've seen enough.
You're good there. Okay. Jess,
like
T-Wolves, dare to answer, Dallas.
I was gonna say T-Wolves is one for me. Sacramento is another for me.
Nice, Julius. Yep.
Philadelphia, and OKC. OKC, I've watched a lot of OKC this year, actually.
They're a great one.
New Orleans and Denver are teams like I'll watch if they're on for sure. And
Jeremy, you got
the Clippers.
Clippers, yeah. Especially after Harden.
Clippers after Harden, a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yep. I also really like watching the T-Wolves. They're
all right, Julius, back to back.
The thing about the T-Wolves is it was almost like last season you could kind of see this team is really about to take that next step because of how they performed in the playoffs. They showed that fight against Denver, which was fun, but they're good. I'm trying to think of where else. For me, it's almost like a lot of these teams happen to reside in the West, and maybe that's because I want the teams in the East to lose so the Knicks can prosper, so it's easier for me to watch them. But
Phoenix used to be like my number one.
Yeah. OKC is just, I know that was a rough game the Knicks played, but that was a very good case study of just how efficient and fun that offense is. And they've got the defense to back it up too. So, I think most of the best, I think it's
their defense has been better than their offense this season.
Has it? I thought they were number one in efficiency not too long ago. But even still, I think the best conference, or the best division in the NBA right now, Northwest. I don't know if it's goes around, comes around, but there's the foul. I don't think it's honestly much of a debate, probably, when you consider the top 3 seeds in the West, right? Are all in the West, in the Northwest division. Yep. Mm-hmm. And then you have this team, the Blazers. And then the other one is Utah, which in and of itself, not a bad team to watch. It's not my number one, but Will Hardy's got a fun group.
I like watching Will Hardy. That's why I watch Minnesota. I like Chris Finch.
Mm-hmm. It's also very hard for me to hate on the Northwest Division because I like all of those teams. I like Utah, obviously the least of the 5, but there's nothing like I harbor no ill will to the Nuggets or the Wolves, the Blazers, and the Thunder are fun to watch. And I wasn't as adamant about them tanking as some of us on the KFS staff. No one here, of course, but
apparently regarding the Dante murder attempt, Clyde turned to Gus Johnson and said, "Gus, who said white men can't jump?" Clyde Frazier, man.
I find myself in the league pass stuff like Houston's really interesting to me because of the youth and the coaching adjustment and the players they brought in. Like it just didn't. It felt weird their off season, but like you can see how it would pan out in like a really positive way. And it's been like not all amazing for them, but they're definitely a better, more cohesive team. But you the young players like Sengun's been great this year. I think Jabari's been much better. And then Jalen Green is sort of like stagnated and maybe even regressed a little bit. So it's always nice seeing these like younger kids. And Chris, I'm sure like for you as like a draft guy,
I was just about to say Indiana because I love their like Jarris Walker and Ben Shepherd were 2 guys I was high on. I like did a TikTok about 3 guys in the 2020. I did 3 TikToks about the 2023 NBA draft, and it was guys that like might not go in the first round but should, and they were Olivier Maxence Prosper, Ben Shepherd, and Jaime Jaquez Jr. And all 3 ended up going in the first round when I didn't even think they would. Someone taking Ben Shepherd first round like really shocked me. That kid just like straight up played 4 years D2. Like I don't but he can shoot the piss out of the rock. And I always thought that that's just someone who like fits on an NBA team, even in like an Isaiah Joe type of role. Like Isaiah Joe got like waived, right? Didn't Philly just like straight up waived him?
Yep.
Stupid idiots.
He'd come in handy for them right now.
Yeah, I mean Philly also waived a lot of other. I don't know. I don't know.
Well, we talked earlier about Flynn and like the situation, and I'm wondering, like, is Isaiah Joe just in the perfect situation to like? I mean, how often they screen with him, and how the ghost screens and the ability to get him into space, and the way they use him, he's like their primary screen setter. And I just don't,
right, Jeremy?
I knew it was 8 years. I didn't realize it was 8 years and
Holy
$120 million.
guacamole.
Sorry, DJ. But yeah, Spoelstra got paid. Good for him.
Sorry. What's the contract?
8 years, 120+ million.
Oh my God.
Yeah, they are
that's
weird, dirty
wild.
answer. But they have Kenrich Williams, who I've said for years is like someone who can play, and that's always fun for me to keep tabs on.
Mhm.
Chauncey's one of those guys who like you trust him to run the day-to-day of an organization, but does he know what he's doing? You don't know. Like he can do it all, but is he doing anything right? At least he knows like how to coach, literally. But like I'm not saying he like doesn't know how to coach, but like does he know? Does this team have a plan? Like here's what I'd love to ask Chauncey, like what ways at the end of the season can this team play that will make you say that your season as a coach was a success? Like your team, obviously, as a coach, Keith Ergo says this to me all the time, the Florida men's basketball head coach, like regardless of the situation, regardless how inexperienced your team is, like you're just trying to be the best team you can be by the end of the year. I would love to ask Chauncey Billups, like if the Portland Trailblazers are the best team they could be at the end of the year and you helped get them there, it's because they are what, and what. Like, I don't know that he has an answer to that. That's not like we need to get better players. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Sure. Here's the thing. He did not sign up for this. He signed up for a Damian Lillard run team. And I don't say that as in like the Blazers have done him dirty and all that. Like he knew as well that there was a significant risk of Dame not being on this Blazers team moving forward. But maybe he's the type of coach who wants to coach a winning team, but also feel like it's hard because we haven't seen him be able to do that. Nice job, DDV. So it's an uphill battle for him because he, it's not what he signed up for, but kind of need to earn the ability to go forth and be able to do it with a competitive team.
As of 9:08, according to Peter Bott, sports writer, New York Post, Pete, great guy. OG plus 113.
Yeah, it's moving screen. Yeah, it's a good call.
Dirty Dancer. I was pretty perplexed at the Adrian Griffin hire. Like, even though I know what he can bring to a franchise and I liked what he could bring for the Milwaukee Bucks, I don't like not finding a veteran coach that can bring that same thing. And also, like, they're going to bring it. I don't know.
Yep.
Yeah, it's good. It's a good point. And the early season defensive strategy thing and then having to go back to the traditional like Brook drop was like, even though he did adjust back to what worked for them, it's not a good look that the players had to sort of like push that on you and you're a first year coach. I mean, it just kind of sets you up to it just isn't a great way to start your tenure.
You become okay.
Scapegoat.
You turn into like the system from Winning Time, like implement the system. It's about the system. It's just about control, not the system, Chris Murray.
It just doesn't also seem fair to me for a lot of these first-time head coaches to. Ooh, what a fun!
Those two. It's always those two. It's only Deuce that he finds like that. I don't know what those two do in practice. Maybe they just like meditate with the basketball between them and like speak to each other through it. But iHeart finds Deuce on these ridiculous feeds, and it's always like specifically Deuce. Benji was talking. Oh,
money.
Hey, now Benji on the last watch along we did. Yes, Jess. That is sources say Oh,
Basket interference?
jump. No, they didn't call that. Yeah, I think they would have been better off keeping Budenholzer, but I also think Budenholzer is the kind of guy who wears out his welcome, even if he's a good coach. Like Wink Martindale seems to do literally everywhere. Like I think he's a great coach, but I also think there's something to him having like unceremonious exits everywhere. I don't know. Low key.
Do you put Tibbs in that category?
I was just about to say low key, depending on how this New York tenure ends.
Yeah.
Thibodeau might go 3 for 3 on
Yeah.
media explosions. But I don't think that happens with the Knicks. I think
There it is.
what is it with these two and the telekinesis, yo? It's telepathy. That's what I meant to say.
Deuce has 13 points.
Good. And a stop on Malcolm Brogdon.
Yeah, have like Deuce and OG been they've been the best offensive players for the Knicks in this game.
So funny.
It's wild.
Oh, that's a mismatch. That you got to do something about.
Oh my!
Again.
Okay,
That
no,
was
goaltending.
goaltending, but this guy low-key owns Randall. low-key.
Randall's step throughs have gotten so good this year. He just has a way of carving out an angle that doesn't seem to be there with his footwork. Really an underrated part of his game. So good with it.
I think it's underrated, but I think the reason for it is because of the situations in which he breaks it out, which are when he's backed himself and the entire offense into a corner.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of like a starting pitcher who gets out of the jam every single time.
Yeah,
and it's like, how much of a credit is it to them that they're in a jam every single time?
Right.
Like they get out of it. Yes. Oh, that was just, you were never getting that call, man.
No.
It was a Kobe assist. Fine. He had it. They had it playing the whole time. He was playing 3D or 4D chess.
Oh,
but there are some players. Yeah, sorry.
What I was saying earlier, just because Dirty Dancer just like followed up on our conversation that we just randomly stopped having. Whenever the Knicks do move on from Thibodeau, it's gonna be like the Gettleman retire Lenny on the farm type of thing. Like it's not gonna be unceremonious. I wouldn't think. I would be shocked if Tom Thibodeau's departure from the Knicks is like messy. Maybe like one New York Post article.
You heard it here first, folks. Chris Persianen saying that Leon Rose will take Tom Thibodeau out back and tell him to look at the rabbits and just close his eyes. It'll probably be more like a Dwayne Casey situation. Yeah, agreed. Where it's, look, we still really value you. Although maybe not. Here's the other thing that we have to consider. It could vary. Like, what if it gets to be where there's an acrimonious situation and Tibbs wants to coach this team more than anything? And the Knicks say, well, we don't want you here. And he says, well, I don't want to transition into a role that isn't exactly what I want. I mean, it who knows? But even still, I'd be very curious of what that next coach is like.
And well, he's got 1 year left. Yeah. And he's got 1 year left, right? Next year.
Yeah.
So
who knows what the market looks like in 1, 2, 3 years? I mean, I would gather that with the Spoelstra, with the Spo extension, we're going to see someone like Stephen Bondy tweeting about Tibbs and extension season within the next 24 hours. I just wouldn't be shocked.
Shout out, Steph.
He certainly tweeted about it a bit. So,
yeah, what will Tom Thibodeau think when Leon Rose doesn't give him an extension?
You don't think he's going to go into next year as a lame duck, right? I just don't see that happening. I think he's going to have to extend him in the offseason.
I think they're just waiting to see how the playoffs look.
That's what I was going to say. I think they just,
it's probably a formality of, look, we're certainly interested, but we just want to make sure that we're making the right call before we invest more money into it. That being said, if the Knicks do well in the playoffs, I think they would have no issue extending Tibbs. I mean, James Dolan has paid how much money for coaches over the years and has fired them and not really given it much of a second thought of, hey, we'll pay you and it's fine. You'll go away. This will be a nice little severance package for you. But I don't.
Facts.
But like, if you're also in the position where maybe you don't want to continue with Tom Thibodeau, you make that decision before you have to extend him. You don't have to pay him to go away more than a year. So, I'm fine with them paying him now. I also see all of the advantages in having him wait. Spoelstra is, in my opinion, top.
Teflon.
He's Mount Rushmore equivalent of coaching in NBA history. I wouldn't put Tibbs on that pedestal, certainly. So we'll see how he does and can always reassess.
Well, through 3 quarters, the Knicks are ahead of the Portland Trailblazers. Your score 97-61. That's no good for Portland. OG Anunoby leads the Knicks in points with 21. Julius Randle leads the game with odds to finish with a triple-double. He has 20 points, 7 rebounds, 8 assists. That's snazzy. Knicks are getting a couple of 13-point performances from McBride and DiVincenzo. And Isaiah Hartenstein has 3 blocks and 3 steals. Right? Or no, 3 assists and 3 steals? Yeah, that's more right. That's right.
Ooh.
So yeah, he has 1 block, 3 steals, and 3 assists. And also 14 rebounds. So that's that for iHeart. He's turning into a Andre Drummond. Books need to set the line at 14.5 every game.
Chris, I'm sorry to
I'm not
interrupt
jinxing it. I'm not jinxing him. I'm not jinxing him.
Oh, they're not going to even show it with okay. We're gonna have to watch on the.
I won't jinx him. I'm trying not to acknowledge it. Damn it!
Unbelievable.
Son of a.
Unbelievable.
Well, at least we got to see the blue Acura drive by.
I'm guessing you didn't make
it.
They Rod.
Yeah, but they could show that.
Of course.
We'll never know. We'll never know. He didn't hit that shit. They'd still be celebrating.
Oh, yeah.
Nah, he didn't make it. They would be celebrating. They'd be doing it. There would be hubbub. Hubbub would be afoot. Tumani. Oh, that was stupid. Oh, hey. Damn it, Sean. Yeah, hey, or whatever.
Hey, Sean. So here's the prevailing question. How many minutes do Jalen Brunson and Julius Randle play in this quarter?
I was just thinking that.
Is it over 0?
Yeah.
7 minutes.
I don't know. It's a 34-point game, and it's still that way with 6 minutes to go. I know it's Tibbs, but
Grimes in the corner. Sorry. Hey, walked him to the rim. Shoot that. Oh. Clock is your friend, Knicks. They shouldn't be putting anything up before the shot clock says 10.
Ooh. Oh.
Okay. Well, he's fun. Yeah, for sure, Dirty Dancer. That's Mike Schmitz right there, bro. That's that's what that is. Same with Reith. The Knicks should do one-stop shopping and pick up Reith as their backup 5 if they trade for Brog.
They can't.
Why not? He's two-way.
Two-way.
Can they? How illegal is it if the Knicks write them the check to make his deal real and then trade for him?
No, it wouldn't work that way. Because if they made his deal real, there'd be a trade restriction on it. They'd have to release him and then he signs as a free agent. But I think if he were waived, then it would be going through waivers and someone else would pick them up.
Yeah, no, like Detroit would grab him. Lame. He'd be so good. Hey. That's funny that they put Grimes and his mom on the screen, and I recognized his mom first. I was about to be like, "Hey, that's Quentin Grimes' mom," and then I looked next to her, and I was like, "Oh, she's not at this game. This is a different happening."
Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing OG grab some bench coming up here.
This Portland lineup is depressing.
Yeah, it is.
The urgency that Deuce and Grimes are showing to take shots like early into the shot clock up 40 is so bewildering.
I think they're just looking to get some shots up.
They're just trying to get some.
Yeah, a little stat pad.
I'll get some takes off.
Oh, that precious floater. Boy.
That was
Good
awful.
God. Wide open. Knockdown. Nope. You're Portland. All right.
Chris, have you taken any time yet to dive into prospects for this season, for this draft?
Like, I've been watching games as they happen. So I've seen Kentucky. Like, I've seen Wagner and Shepard. And I've seen Proctor and Filipowski. And, like, there are guys like Duke, Kentucky, UNC I've watched. And then I've seen North Texas has this guy, Adam Scott, who's going to, like, NPC name, NPC type of player, but he's kind of like Reith or Tumani Kamara in the sense where it's like, I think you're going to get good play out of him year one because he's that good on defense. He's on North Texas. And then Tulane has a couple of like one or two guys. Yeah, Wooga at Miami, top 5 name in CBB this year. And there's a lot of good candidates for top 5 names in college basketball. There's an always right in college basketball, WRIGHT, but his first name is Always, and I think that's funny.
It's like that rom-com Just Right. You think that's his dad?
Justin. But what were you gonna ask, Jeremy?
No, I was gonna ask. I mean, the Blazers will find themselves near the top of the draft. Are there any prospects that stand out that can help?
Alex Sarr. He's sick. I think Scoot and Sarr is something you can sell a fan base on.
So is he in the mold of like Chet in the sense that maybe not the skill set, but just the mobile can kind of do everything, 7-footer? Like, what's the selling point for him?
I think the comparison I see most is Mobley.
Okay.
But everyone likes Sarr's frame better. Like that guy, I think the thing with Sarr, the sell is like instead of saying a player that he plays like, I think the perfect sell for Sarr is like, I would trust him if he develops well. Like he's my best shot against Mobley, against Chet, against Wemby, against AD. Like those giants, like you can trust someone like Sarr because he's got the size, but he's also mobile.
Mm-hmm.
Dirty Dancer. I think Sarr could be a Jermaine O'Neal type. God, I love that comparison. That's so fun. And that's an awesome take. Shout out anyone who comps a prospect to Jermaine O'Neal. I feel like Rip Hamilton and Danny Granger and Jermaine O'Neal and even like, man, who else fits on that list of just like John Salmons. Just like there are certain guys who like if you have the guts to comp someone to them instead of being like, well, he's a 6'8" wing who does dribble, so he's Paul George. Like I don't know. I like when people have actual good comparisons that are fun and not just them trying to wish upon a star.
It's very fair.
Or a Sarr. Who else in that? So with like Sara's side,
Asar was in the last draft.
Sara was in the last draft, right? What else? So I've heard from like just reading a little bit that the top of the draft on the weaker side, but there is a sweet spot in like the teens to like the 40s where it's sort of like the tiers could be pretty close. Is that kind of like your read of where the strength is?
I think people are saying this draft is weak, and I think it's one of the weaker drafts I've scouted thus far, but I don't think like this draft doesn't stand out to me as being ass. I think it's like gonna be fine. I think some of the concerns might be a little overstated. Yeah. It is a strong Euro class, and it's a strong like Ignite class. Like I don't know, just like I think half of the current projected lottery like isn't in college. They're either with the G League or playing abroad or something like that. Which is pretty fun. I also think that because of that, people don't really know how to scout this class. Like people are like, "Oh, there's no Brandon Miller. This class sucks." Like that's not the NBA anymore. In the dead ball era, every player on the court was someone who could start and give you 20 a night or give you 12 a night off the bench. And then like everyone was like a scoring option, you know? And now you have more complementary players like we were talking about with Hart and DiVincenzo, even Anunoby, right? And so like I think this draft is just chock full of guys who are going to stick on good teams down the line. They just won't do it sexily. Like Isaiah Collier, like I love him as a guard prospect. But if you're drafting him being like, oh, this is our version of Scoot Henderson, like look how Scoot looks this year, right? Like drafting a guard really high isn't some like free pass to having a franchise point guard. Like you need to give them several years to work stuff out. But like Collier could be fun for a team like the Spurs where they kind of already have Wemby, Sohan, and Vassell to score and do stuff with the ball in their hands. And Isaiah could really come in off the bench and contribute.
Mantis Toboggan asked in terms of Gafford as a potential backup big. My viewpoint, if you're going to use money going out for Fournier, bring a ball handler back. Don't have to spend quite as much on a backup big, but primarily because if you bring in a center like Gafford on a double-digit salary, and you also have Mitch and you have Hartenstein at the end of this year, you're kind of forcing an awkward issue that's different if you have Precious Achiuwa, Andre Drummond, insert expiring contract center here. So that's where I stand. DJ, do you have any thoughts?
I mean, yeah, in terms of the salary stuff, I think you hit it. I mean, on the court, the fit is pretty clean because he does a lot of the things that Mitch does and what Hartenstein does in terms of the offensive rebounding, finishing, rim protection. So, I mean, yes, he would be a tremendous fit. Then you're back to your 48 minutes of quality center play without any qualms about it. But I think you hit on like some of how the real world impacts, some of these trades.
Sorry, if you foul him, you got to wrap him up. You can't let that happen. But yeah, I would agree.
Who was the only Knick to lead the NBA in free throw percentage? You guys got a quick answer on that? I don't know if they're going to flash it here. Allen Houston, Kevin James.
Allen Houston. I was going to say Pablo Prigioni.
I would have also. It's funny. I thought Pablo as well for a moment. But...
Novak is. I feel like Novak, however many free throws he made, he just didn't qualify for whatever threshold they set.
No chance.
Guy went 100% probably because he went 6 for 6 on the year. Like,
also, was he ever fouled on a 2?
Probably. I would assume
sure he was, but
I would assume he got a good amount of bailout calls, like from just like being bad at finishing and getting a call because they perceived it as contact. Hey, when there was 7 minutes and 24 seconds left on the clock, the Knicks had no starters left in the game. Now there's 5 minutes and 50 seconds left, and as Quentin Grimes drains a 3 to make this a 104-74 lead for the New York Knicks, I'm Chris Persianen here alongside DJ and Jeremy, and Quentin Grimes, now driving the other way, finishes again, gets himself to 16 points, is going to have a chance at the line to make it 17 and a 33-point lead for the Knicks. Summer League flashbacks, says Dirty Dancer in the chat. It's because it feels like Summer League.
Yeah, so the Rising Star game.
Yeah, you're watching along with Knicks Film School, either on playback or YouTube or Twitter or wherever you may be in the online verse, but you're somewhere on the internet having a good time, watching us have a good time and being part of it yourself. So welcome. If you're just getting to our stream, maybe because you realize the game was over and this would be more fun than whatever else is going on. I know it's Gus and Clyde on the call, but man, I don't know if anyone could save this game.
On the free throw, the guy that comes to mind actually is Hubert Davis, potentially. Like, I feel like he was probably in the upper 80s a couple of times. Knicks haven't had a ton of like amazing free throw shooters. Allen Houston, Novak.
Please pass it. Thank you.
Yes.
There we go. Is that 17? What is that for, Deucey?
I think he might be at 16, and that was
16.
his fourth make from three.
Grizzlies are beating up on the Mavs, which everyone should be happy about. Which,
yes.
Do you guys feel that the Grizzlies are going to trade Marcus Smart? Because I feel like it's very easy for them to just lose with him, get a good draft pick, and then next year they run it back.
Yeah, that's kind of where I am. Unless they get, I don't think. I mean, will they get 2 firsts for him or something like crazy? I don't know. That seems like a stretch. I feel like the most likely scenario is everything went wrong this year. You get a good, like you said, get a good pick. Maybe some of these young kids can like step up, and we can maybe talk about like their drafting of late has not been amazing, but maybe you get some growth there, and then run it back with a healthy jaw. I feel like that's what I would hope they would do. As like if I was a Grizzlies fan or I think it's just I feel like you talk yourself into being a really good team next year with him with him on the roster.
It was Allen Houston for what it's
job,
worth.
Kevin.
There you go. Good work.
Facts. Good stuff, Kevin. Look up. Okay. Look at Ryan, man, just filling his lane. Jericho is not Mitch. Quentin is so used to that dump off to Mitch. Last year, he might have done it 300 times.
Yeah, so much that in the playoffs, like teams are just like, we're not allowing that at all. And it just dried up. $15 threes combined attempted for Deuce and Grimes. Grimes is 4 of 9. Deuce is 4 of 6. Nice to see these guys get them up.
So as of this moment, the Blazers have 2 players in double figures. Jeremy Grant and Anthony Simons. Murray will probably get there. He's got 9 points. And Sharp might get there. He's also got 9. But for context, the Knicks have 6 players in double figures.
Do we have I hate to be the one to start it. Oh, awesome. I don't have to be. We got a comment. Let's just read this comment instead. Jeremy, your theory on Malachi seems correct. No way he should not be playing. Guys, Malachi Flynn, as Grinding for Good pointed out and noticed before anyone else, is not playing right now as the team is up almost 35. Thoughts?
Yep. I didn't
want to say it because I didn't want to seem like I was trying to start drama. I just really think.
Although, is that him now? There it is. Speak of the devil. Evil Dante. But this does go to show where he is on the pecking order, which is
for sure
12th?
Below Deuce.
13th? Just I don't know,
Nah. I think he's ahead of Archie on the pecking order. I think.
mean, the proof is in the pudding tonight, is it not?
Okay, but you're eating a weekly special pudding and being like, this is what's on the menu all year. I think this is like a rare, like Tibbs never has starters out with 7 minutes left. I
What
think
I'm
he's
saying, but I'm not talking about talent. I'm talking about how this team prioritizes the players that are on their roster.
no, I get what
It's
you're saying. I think if they were trying to win a game and they needed to throw someone else in there because everyone was hurt, they would go Flynn before Ryan. I think
agree.
they're rewarding Ryan for his hard work right now.
But I think they're minimizing risk or mitigating it by bringing I almost called him Dante, by bringing Malachi Flynn in later as opposed to now.
Dante, evil Chenzo.
Hey, about to go 5-0 with in the OG era.
Facts.
And
that's
let's talk about that a little bit. I mean, their net rating is going to be insane with OG. I mentioned with Benji yesterday that I feel like you can easily make, I don't know if easily, but I can make a case today that this team can get to the Eastern Finals and like be comfortable with the fact that if things break right, the matchups work out, I think this team can get there. If they're playing Boston, I wouldn't pick the Knicks in that matchup. I just feel like the starting lineup is so well-rounded. They're just the proof is in the pudding, at least in the first 5 games. They're playing great. Where do you guys see the ceiling? If there's not a move to be made, maybe they make a move like on the margins to bring in like a point guard just to help out a little bit, but nothing drastic. Where's the ceiling right now for this team?
The conference finals.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. I would say though, as currently constructed, I see them closer to semifinals, but adding that additional point guard would make me feel better about the optionality and the flexibility in the playoffs, which would be necessary. Just having one more creator, that would be really nice. That would make me feel more at ease. But the other thing to consider, and I feel better about this maybe than more Knicks fans. I think the Randall that we're seeing is very real. I think that the playoff Randall has been so impacted by factors that have nothing to do with who Julius Randle is as a player right now. But he's got to prove that. And so I'm confident he can be that guy, but I totally understand the feeling of until I see it in the playoffs, it's hard for me to buy into it.
Yep, that's fair. Yep, and you just don't know how like the lack of shooting, which still hasn't come around, is going to be more of an issue in the playoffs. But at least compared to the We Here year, the talent around him is just, tiers above in terms of teammates. So that alone will be a big benefit to them. And then Dirty Dancer mentions you need to be out of the 4-5 to get to I presume, the conference finals, to stay out of the Boston matchup in the second round. I mean, it's fair. If they're a 4-5 and you have Boston in the semis, I mean, they're a great team. Though, without Mitch, I mean, this is sad to say, but they are probably more equipped with a Hartenstein playing 35 minutes and OG in there to hang with Boston. We haven't, be interesting to see that matchup, but they match up a little better today than they did a few weeks ago.
Benji grades just dropped. Achua B-.
Ooh,
how about
first?
That?
It must be the first B+ or B- and up for him.
I thought he had one game. I'm blanking on which one. I can't remember.
There was one good, yeah,
where he was like, "Oh,
Philly."
This might have been the Philly game.
Yeah, that's fair.
McBride A-.
Ananobi. This is not a mismatch right here. Yeah, pass that ball.
Malachi definitely got fouled on the floor there.
What was his Randall grade? Do you have it up still?
Yeah, I do. B.
Okay, that's probably fair. Played better as the game went on.
Yeah. I think I would have given him a B-, but I'm not going to quibble with that.
File with Knicks KFSPR. Yeah, this is like the horse is so dead. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. But Portland is one of those teams that's like very much doing their own thing this year.
You know what still astounds me? So the Blazers have 79 points right now. The Knicks held the Cavs to 79 in the playoffs. I still can't get over that game 3 performance. Just
because their best player is short.
The two best players. I mean, two of their best players. But
can't win anything if that's true. Nor is it worth talking about, like, if you are good or not. It's just none of it's worth discussion.
Yeah. Garland did one of Benji's least favorite terms, shot tour date.
He also shot, didn't he shoot the date?
It was
421. 421, some shit like that.
Yeah.
So good. Oh my God, it's Emmanuel Quickly. The headband and number 5 really throw you for a loop.
Yep.
Everything about his game makes you realize they're quite different people. Cool. Good for Chris Murray.
You know, we didn't talk about what's happening in the court right now, which is Jericho Sims at the 4 minutes.
God bless.
Or is it a shoe at the 4? I guess it's I
guess you could argue it's
right now. It's Sims at the 5.
Yeah,
because he's inside the arc. The Knicks are playing 4 out.
Get it? Front of the rim.
Oh, Archie, has he scored all season?
I was just wondering that. I feel like he has scored once, but I don't think.
Oh no, man! No,
he hasn't.
He's gotten.
Oh man, complete goose eggs. Eesh.
He's averaging 0.0 on the season, so that means, yeah.
Hey, it just goes to show it's not what you know, it's who you know, and that's quite all right. That's how this world works.
Too funny. Well, shout out Ryan Arcidiacono and who he knows.
Jalen Brunson, he knows him.
Mm-hmm.
Good for him.
Not a bad guy to know.
Hey, it's a good life.
Oh, I was trying to see who was talking to who.
Ooh.
Damn you, Audi. But yeah, that was a ball game. The Knicks played it, all of it. It's now over. That's like where we're at here. Oh my God, guys. Is OG going to sign with the Blazers in the offseason because he's dapping up their assistants? Holy shit.
Mantis Toboggan in the chat. Brogdon deal loading.
Yeah, that's where he was all game. Was trying on his Knicks gear. That's why he didn't do shit on the court. I mean, listen, the ball game's over. It happened. Now it's done. The Knicks won 112 to 184. It was unceremonious, but we hope you had a nice time here with the Knicks Film School crew watching either on playback as a patron or on YouTube or Twitter. Look at OG just holding the mic. OG just grabbed the mic so he could hold.
Also, like, he's clearly fitting in because he's changed his hairstyle already. Looks good.
He's so funny. Look at him, like, holding the mic every time he's going to answer a question. You know, that first post-game interview in Minnesota game, he was so, like, I don't know. You could tell he felt off, like, be answering questions as a New York Knick. Like, he was still kind of processing things. You were kind of watching him process the trade as you were listening to him talk about it. He's like, yeah, you know, being here in a new city, you kind of see him realize he has to live in New York now. Like, it's not, right. You know what I mean? Like, this is all different. But I think he's a really good bet to stay. I think any talks of him signing out, I feel like I just saw, like, I want to say it was Josh Eberle said something like, Like if you keep winning and you don't get OG the ball, like it's the same scenario. No, because the Raptors sucked. That was the whole point. They sucked, and he wasn't getting the ball. Make one of those two things worth his while. Be a good team. He's okay in that role. Problem is he wasn't okay in that role because Siakam cosplaying 2021 Julius Randle isn't like exciting to him. So whatever. I hope you had a lot of fun watching this stream. If you're Jeremy or DJ, you probably didn't because you had to deal with me all night. But for our listeners, thank you guys for tuning in. For our watchers, thank you guys for watching. I know some people just throw it on and then leave the phone to the side or something. Just let us kind of talk them through the game. And we appreciate you no matter how you consume our watch alongs. But whether you're watching along or listening along, you're hanging out with us, and that's all that matters. So thanks for the support.
Yeah, second that. And Jeremy, any big takeaways as we wrap up? It's a blowout win, but anything catch your eye for this one?
The passing in the first half I thought was tremendous. Hopefully that carries over. The lack of scoring in the end of the second, majority of the second, and beginning of the third hopefully subsides moving forward too. But no, this was a pleasure and a privilege. Thank you to everyone watching along. Just gonna plug a couple things. First off, Chris had a great story yesterday in the newsletter, and he has had some awesome scoops as of late. DJ did a phenomenal job with Benji yesterday with X's and O's.
Yes,
Really
the
nice job
stream.
there. Highly recommend checking that out. And then I did a cap or no cap. If you have not watched, highly recommended. It will shape very much of what I gather how the Knicks will operate over the next month and then some. So that's all on my end. Thank you all. Looking forward to seeing you on the next one.